Dear Nordic guests, a very good morning from, I would love to say, beautiful Helsinki, but it's actually a bit grey and rainy, but they promised sun in a couple of hours, so let's head in that direction. Anyway, very good morning to you. We are pleased to welcome some 140 viewers from all the Nordic countries with us today. So, god morgon, and hyvää huomenta. The Sustainable Business 2022 events series and discussions continue today. We have a very interesting topic. We're talking about sustainable strategies, leadership and data. And we have a thought-provoking, I'm sure, discussion ahead of us today, a panel. We have 4 top sustainability professionals here in the studio to share their skills and stories behind their success. But now, I think it's time for us to officially open the show and bring on our very first panelist, Veijo Hytti from Keto Software. Veijo, welcome. Hi Veijo, good to have you here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Veijo, sustainability is, of course, not a new thing to you. I know you've been writing something on the subject, perhaps even a dissertation on sustainable development. Is it so?
Yes, correct. I started to do it like some years ago, and because I saw it coming like about 7-8 years ago that it's going to be a big transition in energy and materials and everything. But I guess we are now having a bit other issues on table at the moment, like pandemic and followed by this war, and then maybe next financial crisis followed by that, and then maybe the next thing that will be in the world news all the time will be sustainability.
But as you said, serious times ahead, the economic side as well after all these other crises. So let's see what will happen there. But then you said sustainability will be the big thing finally after that. You mean?
I think it is affecting business all the time, and it used to be first wave was the greenwashing, and
it was sort of a buzzword, but it wasn't a real thing.
But now it's really in actions.
Yeah,
it's all over the place, and the only way in the future to make profitable business is to do it in a sustainable way.
But if I understood you correctly, you mean after these crises, let's hope they'll evade sort of rather sooner than later. So you mean sustainability will be even bigger after these crises?
Yeah, this will boost like the pandemic boosted digitalization. So what comes out of this crisis will be, first of all, like we see, it's inflation and food crisis, which all are related to sustainability crisis as well.
And fossil fuels, we're talking about those things as well. That will be or this crisis will be a game changer also regarding the fossil stuff. We're talking about values, how the international audience and community has reacted. So that will sort of, in a way, support the idea of perhaps next level
sustainability. Really good point, because part of sustainability is social responsibility. And now, like we see, the world and people have a soul. So we have the social responsibility to help Ukraine. So it has united people. So it's really big.
In a way, we didn't perhaps expect that sort of a reaction.
Nobody expected that.
Common reaction, yeah.
But that's the kind of good thing that you normally think that when there are kind of new things happening that you don't know yet, your brains normally think that there's something like crisis, but there are also the other side of the coin. So there are also good things coming out through this crisis, from this crisis.
And it's a very good point, like with all crises, as tragic as they are, and it might of course sound a bit cynical to say it, but anyway, one good thing is that no matter how serious how tragic a crisis is, it always, almost always, or perhaps even always, brings some positive changes as well. And we have to sort of cling to those positive things in the middle of all this as well, of course. But hey, Veijo, the reason for this sustainable development being such an important issue at the moment, why is it? What has happened to the world and humankind? Why is sustainability so big and getting stronger all the time? Is it sort of the age of Aquarius, we're all enlightened in a way we weren't 20 years ago? Or is it just the state of the world? Or what's the reason? Why are people changing and demanding sustainable change as well?
I think it's for the planet, and for us, it's the only way to survive. So we have to take.
So that's a realization. That's a big realization.
I think the realization among the academic people is even too harsh. That's one of the reasons why I never did all of the articles and studies, because the whole academic world was so pessimistic. Because when you read a lot about book like Planet Boundaries, you find
it's
out
doom and gloom, of course. Yeah.
It's really like difficult. Problems that we have to solve. It's not an easy solution to that.
But Veijo, are you going to finish your writing anyway, your academic work? Are you
sure, yeah.
Taking that up again?
Yes. So it's in my mind, and of course my thinking has developed during the last 5 years a lot.
Especially during the past 2.5 years, I guess.
Yes.
Where we're going, the whole world is going
definitely,
through.
Yeah.
Veijo, thank you very much. Hey, let's continue with you in the panel. But before that, let's take our next panelist on stage. Veijo, you can, soon, perhaps there's a trailer in between. Let's see what happens. You never know. It's a,
good things will happen.
Live TV, exactly. But you might change your place for another. But let's wait a moment, and I'll call in our next panelist on stage. So welcome Anniina Virta-Toikka, Head of Sustainability, Konecranes. Anniina, great to have you here. Good morning. A magic happened in the studio where you are sitting now. Veijo just sat, and now he's here next to me. Anyway, that's the way it goes. Live TV, anything can happen, as we said. Hey, Anniina, you received a gold rating from EcoVadis for your ambitious responsibility work, and you're now one of top 4% of all companies in the world thanks to your actions, practices, and reporting. So what has been required of you in order to achieve this?
So why this is a news is obviously that we were able to improve and step up from the silver platter to get the gold medal.
You went to the next level, so to speak.
We did.
Which
definitely.
Is great.
So the EcoVadis, first of all, is a rating system that is evaluating the sustainability maturity of the suppliers. So the main driver for us to answer to the rating is our customers.
Okay.
There are every year more and more customers asking us to fulfill the questionnaire.
And what do you think about that? That's an interesting.
I'm loving it because it really shows
progress.
The pressure coming from our customer base, which is again the main driver for us to see the sustainability being.
And Anniina, on the note we talked about with Veijo as well. So why is this? What has happened? Why are they so demanding nowadays? How do you see it?
As Veijo already said, that there is no other way to do business than to do sustainable business. So I'm sure that is obviously the basic know-how and the requirements are increasing. So companies that were not 10 years ago considering that sustainability is relevant for their strategy has probably learned that is very important. And going back to the EcoVadis and what we did to receive the gold medal, there are 4 major categories in that questionnaire, being environmental topics, ethics, labor and human rights, as well as sustainable procurement. So it's what very well covers the whole sustainability agenda.
Very holistic approach.
Definitely, yes. And I value that very much. I see these kind of ratings being kind of one of our stakeholders pushing us forward, because it's a very good benchmark tool for us to really evaluate where we are based on the the general knowledge. We were able to upgrade our rating in all of these 4 categories, which is great. Work is never done. We want to be better, not better for the rating, but there is a commitment that Konecranes has done, and we want to be a sustainable company. And that's why after receiving the gold medal, we did a gap analysis where we didn't score. There are topics that are irrelevant for us. For example, water management, because we don't use water in the process.
All right.
We will lose points also next time, but we need to focus on the most impactful cases. And that's where we are putting our focus.
And the thing is, at least it's not sort of a buzzword for you. You sort of walk the walk as well. Plus talking the talk, of course. But hey, being in this top 4%, what does it mean for practical purposes? How do you see it?
It means
it's good for business, of course, because it's a good sort of a quality mark in a way.
It is definitely, but it really describes the level of maturity within the company. Because for the rating, to get a good rating, you need to have an evidence. You need to show you have a policy or standard process to conduct certain thing. You need to really present the evidence how you manage human rights in your supply chain, for example, or you have certifications that covers certain.
Yes. So the hard factor, you can't only talk your way out of it. You have to prove it. Yeah.
And also the KPIs they are following. Are we progressing with the KPIs?
Hey, with a few more words, a bit more sort of detailed, your working days regarding this work. So what are your typical working days like?
There isn't any typical working days, but kind of the themes, for example, that EcoVadis covers that kind of shows what topics are in my table as well. Luckily, we have other teams that are managing many other topics, but kind of what's common in my work days is to have too many meetings.
Too many and too long. I mean, they should be max 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, nowadays there are 30 minutes.
Or even
long
better.
Enough.
Even better.
So need to speed up. But what's common is the networking.
Yeah.
Working as a change agent, hearing signals here and there, combining people, kind of securing that processes are supporting our sustainability agenda. So it's acting as a change agent within the network.
And part of this, talking about sustainability, I reckon you don't have to physically travel as much as you would have done 10 years ago, 5 years ago? Yeah.
I've been working for Konecranes 2.5 years. So unfortunately, it means that I started working and then 2 months
interesting
when
times,
COVID
yes.
came in. So I've done one business trip, and that was a month ago. But it
has changed. It has changed now.
It has changed.
Everyone,
But on the other hand, kind of you need to travel to understand what really happens. If I'm not able to see the products we are offering for our customers, I'm not able to do my work as efficiently as I could.
Well, but from a sustainability point of view, a change has anyway occurred. Perhaps you won't fly to New York for a 1 hour meeting anymore.
Definitely
that's changed. Yeah.
Yes, and for example, the sales occasions and so forth. So there is a lot less travel nowadays than there was before.
Anniina, very inspiring. Thank you very much. And you have to wait now for the panel. You too. We have 2 more guests coming in before our panel starts. Our next guest is Kaisa Vuorio, Director Sustainability ISKU. Welcome. So welcome to the studio. We have the more the merrier, you see. It's the studio is growing all the time. Kaisa, ISKU has done a lot of responsibility work. For instance, one of Finland's largest solar power parks will be built in the ISKU plant in Lahti, where you came from this morning. Actually, one hour's drive from Helsinki, approximately. Could you tell us a bit more about what ISKU's top 3 responsibilities lately have been?
Thank you. For us in ISKU, I would like to say that sustainability means taking actions, and this solar power pack is one good example about that.
A very concrete work.
Concrete work, yeah. So 6,000 solar panels will be installed next to the factory site.
And how much energy will that give to your operations?
We will get 7 months in every year.
All right.
So that's a lot.
Are you going to build more to cover 12 months of the year? Or will this be enough?
I hope someday, but in Finland we don't have enough sun. I think that's a crucial thing.
And in Lahti you don't have that much wind as well. You should be on the coast or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And what else I would like to highlight in our sustainability work is that we really strongly support local. So all of our production are located in Lahti in Finland, and also 75% of our purchases comes from Finland.
And is it more than before? Have you changed in that direction? Is it more than what it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's more
Has
than
always been.
5 or 10 years ago, but I think last 2 or 3 years it have been in the same level.
Okay. But before that, did you buy even more locally or less? Have you sort of like gone back to the local?
Back to the
route,
local,
Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah, more local.
And we have one more, your third responsibility job or operation.
That is our that we would like to have very transparent our supply chain.
All right.
And very close connection with them. I think that's very important, that you have count in your scope 3 emissions, for example, and you have action to reduce.
And when you work so much locally, so your supply chain is rather local as well.
Yeah, that's
so in
true.
a way, it's easy to keep track on what they are doing compared to being on the other side of the world or something. So
that of course true.
That's it.
And it's easy to know that for example, like social responsibility issues are taken care with our suppliers very well.
And Kaisa, what has made you personally interested in responsibility and working sort of for a more responsible future?
Oh, good question. I think the main
Have you always been interested in this?
Yeah, I think more or less. I think the main science behind the sustainability is a natural science. And since I was in primary school, I have been interested in natural science. So I ended up to graduate from chemistry.
All right,
That
so
is
it all
natural.
comes very naturally.
Yeah, that comes very naturally, yeah. And since that, then sustainability have been part of my working career as well.
Yeah, it's a very credible background as well. I mean,
Thank you.
what you're doing. Hey, thank you, Kaisa. Great to have you on the show as well. And now we have one more panelist we're going to have sort of a pre-chat with before the panel. So let's welcome our last panelist. Please welcome Annika Sundelin, Executive Vice President, Innovation and Business Development, Walki Group. Welcome. And that's our last piece of the puzzle. We haven't got more room in the studio for guests after this. Annika, very much welcome. Great to have you in the studio as well. Hey, you're the Innovation Director. So what's the role of the Innovation Leader in sustainable development and responsibility?
So innovation is very much about rethinking processes, redesigning materials, and that is exactly what we need at the moment. And for me, innovation is the way out of solving a lot of the issues that we are facing today in terms of sustainability. So sustainability and innovation is very closely linked together for the moment, and that will
be a few more words. Innovation and sustainability linked together. You know, so you have to innovate in order to be more sustainable. That's the way.
Exactly. Yeah. That is how we see it, and by innovations we will find new solutions to solve the issues that we are facing. And the role for an innovation leader, so I think the most important role is to create the environment, to have an environment where this innovation can take place.
And what is, I mean, ask Anniina the same question. What is your working week like, or your work days like? How do you do this work?
So also the same I think as for everybody. So we spend a lot of time in meetings. It's very important to connect with people. So we also see a much more fragmented world at the moment. So we have different situations in different countries.
So yeah, still digital meetings mostly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, much.
And that's the way it's going to be in the future as well, I guess, even if it's easier to already now easier to travel, but because of sustainability issues. And we saw the huge leap we took forward during, since COVID started. So these digital products will stay with us.
They will definitely stay with us.
And it's a good thing, isn't it?
It
saves a lot of
thing,
time,
yes.
actually.
And I think we have also learned how to be creative and innovate together online, which is a really good.
Yeah, even like,
development.
even like cocktail parties online and stuff, everyone's sitting in their own home with, funny hats and cocktail glasses. So even that's possible. It's a bit boring perhaps, but it's doable.
Yes.
Hey, so your role as innovation leader, how has it changed?
It has
over
changed
years?
in quite many ways, and I would like to highlight two things what I call the 2 P's, and we talk about partnerships and pilots. So I think we have come to realize that we cannot solve the topics we are facing alone. So we have to
Like stronger together?
stronger together, and we have to collaborate. We collaborate across the value chains. We collaborate within the industries in ways that we did not do in the past. And also the importance of creating small pilots. So maybe in innovation in the past, you would work for several years on a big launch, and then you would globally roll it out. So, and that is what we cannot do at the moment. So we have to start with small pilots in small countries and create the awareness of the solutions that are available, and then take the best pieces out of everything.
And as I say, in business nowadays, at least anyway, or perhaps it's always been like that, you can't really plan. You keep it on the planning table for too long before you launch it. You have to learn by doing, sort of.
Exactly, and we are at the moment also living in a bit of with a moving target. So we do not exactly always know what will the legislation be like, or how. What is the target, and still we have to provide and suggest what is possible at the moment, and create a momentum and movement.
And your insights into sort of partnerships and the reason why you noticed that stronger partnerships are better. What made you come with this realization?
So the problems or the challenges are so complex. So
more than before,
much more than before, and everyone has to do their share, and we have to collaborate, because my work is dependent on who is before and after in the value chain, for instance, and we have to create outlets for new materials, etc. So.
Thank you, Annika. So now we have all four, free chat with all four of you, and shall we officially declare the panel open now? What do you say?
Sounds good.
We have some half an hour time for this. Hey, straight to the point. So should every organization today have, I guess it's a stupid question. You all say, of course, yes, but with a few more words. Everyone, should they have a strategy for sustainable actions and development? Does every organization absolutely need it, Anniina?
I consider that yes. It can be a separate strategy or it can be linked directly to corporate strategy, but it can't be fully separated from the corporate strategy because it doesn't happen.
But could you see, Anniina, could you see possibly an organization who wouldn't need to think of sustainability?
If the kind of what the company is doing, if that is the core of the business strategy, then you don't need to separate. But one thing that I currently, at least in my current position, why I consider that there needs to be a kind of separate sustainability strategy that is really much highlighted in all of the businesses. The reason is that we need to make sure that we cover all of the relevant topics, so not one piece of the puzzle is going to be missed. And that's why I consider we need to integrate the strategy.
And you're all thinking along the same line. Annika, you want to say something at least?
Yes, and I think at least it's important for every organization to understand what is both the footprint of the organization and also what is the handprint of the actions that the organization is doing. So of the products or services that the organization is providing, and what is the kind of balance between these two. I think that at least would be some kind of a minimum for every organization to know.
And Kaisa and Veijo, thinking along the same lines?
Yeah, I think like about strategy, many consultants say that very few companies have a strategy. So how many companies then have a sustainability strategy? That's a question. But I read some years ago a lot of annual reports to try to understand that what are the hottest topics in companies around the world. And I think what is kind of the one thing that is in every company's strategy is sustainability. Whether it's in real action or not, but it's in the strategy what they are communicating. And I think now it's also the reality at the moment that it's really the number one thing in every company.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree also. And I would also like to highlight that, like, generally key performance indicators based on strategy. And if you don't have a sustainability strategy, maybe then there is not any set key performance indicators to the sustainability. And without these indicators, it's almost impossible to lead and the sustainability. So I think that's a good point also.
And the question would be interesting to know in all of your organizations, is sustainability equally big in all your, do you think? It's impossible to measure it, of course, but would you say that you're all on the same level in a way? I mean, you have the good rate, the top 4 ratings and stuff, but you know the way you think about sustainability and its strategic position and stuff. Do you think you share the same world in this?
I guess the sustainability means a bit different things for all of the companies, because we can't just copy-paste good sustainability strategies for somebody, but we need to focus on the topics that are very material for our own companies. What kind of impacts, negative or positive, we are generating towards our customers or for the supply chain, and that is how our sustainability agenda should look like.
Exactly, and we being a small technology company, it's like what is the key issue in tech companies are like if you take like these big players like Google, what is their kind of data responsibility? I think it's not a very high level, so it's going to be a really big change for the big tech companies in the future. We see it coming.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's one sector of sustainability as well, of course. What do you think?
Yes, certainly, and I would say for our organization being mainly focusing on materials, so it's also very much embedded into the core and into the strategy of everything what we are doing. So it's visible in business decision. It's visible across the company.
And in your roles, of course, you talk about it every day, but in your companies in general, is sustainability something you talk about every day? Is it truly there in your sort of embedded in your daily work life? All departments basically and stuff. What do you say? Honest answers, please.
It's of course difficult also being a rather big company, and it for sure means different things in the different departments. But it is essential, and it is very visible in what the company is doing. So it's
on all levels and
all levels,
departments.
Yes.
Yeah, I echo what Annika mentioned. In our company, kind of the sustainability umbrella is so wide. So when we talk about compliance topics, when we talk about minimizing the carbon footprint or maximizing the carbon handprint, kind of it serves different part of the organization, the discussions. So if generally evaluating sustainability, I would say that discussion is very deeply rooted already. And which I'm super happy is that our top management is actively discussing about this topic and showing.
Which means they're taking it seriously. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the only way to go forward with the high ambition.
Someone said at a seminar that the big change is that a number of years ago, many CEOs, for instance, of course they talked the talk. They said that beautiful words about sustainability and this the core values and blah blah blah. But then immediately when the camera shut off, they only talked business and money and results and stuff. But that has changed, and now this person said that today they're truly themselves interested in these things and they take it seriously. So there has been a cultural shift perhaps in at the top level in companies as well. Do you share this analysis, Kaisa?
Yeah, I totally agree. Our CEO always say that we do our decision through the sustainability mirror, and I totally agree with that there have to be concrete actions behind the sustainability, and it have to come from the top level.
But many times I at least witnessed still that the money is the one that is directing. But one thing that we need to fulfill is the data gap. There is still a lot of, for example, environmental data missing from the system so that we could really make the decisions based on also that information. There is a lot of data coming and existing, but we still need to be better and really visualizing the whole entity so that we can compete with monetary values as well.
And are you hopeful?
Yes.
Getting that data.
Yes.
In order to be on the same level.
Definitely. Just this week identified with the environmental network some data gaps that we could fulfill the rest of the gaps. It takes time. Nothing happens in one month or even during 1 year.
But sounds good anyway. What do you think?
Yeah, normally you see afterwards that there was a tipping point, that something really moved the earth, and now it's so many things like really happening that I think now we are about in the tipping point, that it's going to be the way we see the world, and it's not about the kind of today's cash flow, but we all know that the future cash flow is in different business than it is today.
But did it finally start this tipping point? Did it finally come with COVID? Because that was a great sort of value game changer as well. I mean, even talking about people, employees going back to work or not because of value questions. So I think COVID was sort of a game changer here. But was it even the tipping point in a way?
Sure, it was. And of course, we in the Nordics, we have a really different bubble than most of the people on this planet are living. Like when you go even to Central Europe, I happen to live in Switzerland, they have the lowest remote working percentage in Europe, and in Finland we have the highest. So they are total opposites, and the culture is so different.
But of course, geographically a small country, so everything is physically close.
But I think it's a cultural issue, and also like in Finland, we trust all of our people. So that's why it's easy to move. It's not only about the Teams or Zooms that help it to make it happen, but it's more cultural issue that we trust that every people who work from home, they are really working for the same purpose. So we don't need to control anybody.
And it's easy in Finland because we like to be on our own, so that's easy. We're not too much people around us.
And at the same time, kind of the fast pace of the emerging regulation in the EU and other regions as well, that's supporting the green transition really much. So not kind of only the way and the digitalization that is coming. is there already, but will definitely never stop. But the regulation is supporting this cause quite heavily.
And it's very important for the Nordic companies also to demand from others, because that's the way we can affect the whole world. If we demand, and you as a big companies, you can really have a big impact.
And also, I think we have realized that the sustainability challenges, they will not disappear. So we will have to solve them. We will have to address them. And eventually also through the regulations, companies will be measured based on how they are performing in this matter in a similar way as we are being measured on financial aspects at the moment. So it is very important.
And as Veijo said, within Nordics is fairly easy culturally and for other reasons as well. I mean, closeness on many levels. So within the Nordic countries, if we sort of spur each other on, that's not a bad idea, is it? Hey, demanding from each other, that's one thing, but we already talked a bit about, the supply chain thing, but also customers here. So you can all do a lot from a company point of view, I mean, proactively, but what do the customers demand? How much does that affect sort of what you do? Who wants to start? Kaisa.
Yes, I will start. Thank you. I think for us in ISKU, our purpose is that we are building a responsible future, but that's obvious that we cannot do that without our stakeholders and, of course, with our customers. So I think most of the companies are very customer-driven. So I think the customers have a very crucial role in this sustainability area.
So customers are demanding, but do customers have responsibilities if we turn the table that way? What do you say? Yeah. Can you guide or educate your customers as well?
I think that is exactly one of the things that has changed with the sustainability. So we typically work very close to our customers in innovation, and we innovate together with our customers. That's the model that we have been using. But we came to realize that the customers did not always know what way they want to go or what is even available. So our way of collaborating with the customer also became more education and guiding and in the whole context of sustainability.
Yeah, I really consider that we need to kind of create the market pull by pushing.
Yes.
Still, we need to guide our customers. They don't need to know what we have to offer, but we need to sell for them the more sustainable products. We need to educate our customers. We need to be better involved in their activities so we can understand and develop our offering and the technologies so that it best supports them. So the customer co-creation really needs to happen because the technology is changing so fast. There is so much more innovations coming. All the sectors, industries are pushing for more efficient way of doing, pushing for the new solutions with the digitalization and so forth. So definitely we need to cooperate better with the customers.
But certainly the customer also have a responsibility, and I think that goes all the way down to us as individuals and also consumers. So because typically at the moment also new solutions, innovations comes with some kind of additional cost, and I think there need to be a commitment also in the value chain to take also on that challenge.
But it's interesting, yes, customer responsibility, talking about real B2C business, for instance, like do customers only care about the price of the product, the financial price of the product, or to what extent do they think of the supply chain questions? Where does it come from? Is it child labor, whatever, blah, blah, blah. In a very typical sort of B2C scenario. So truly, yes, very large responsibility on the customer as well if you want to achieve sustainable change.
Yeah, most of the innovation is customer driven at the moment, but I think we also have to take a systematic approach to this. Like let's say, the energy transition. Now we see the crisis in Europe, and it's really hitting us and will be hitting us. So there was a study about 4 years ago in Lappeenranta University of Technology, where they calculated that what would be the cost of running the energy system in Finland, like 100% sustainable way, and
like only renewables.
Only renewables, and guess what? It's exactly the same cost of running the system.
Which is great news, isn't it?
Yeah, but why is not the system changing?
Yeah.
So if we are only looking at what the customers are asking from us, it's not enough, because we have to also have the systematic approach, and then we need also the politics, like what we all know. It's not easy. It's normally lobbying and legislation. They are also pushing, but they're also preventing the change.
And sometimes we even need a crisis in order to achieve the change, just to push it sort of across the
first pandemic and
point.
digitalization, and now the war and sustainability.
Let's hope we don't need many more crises in order to achieve change. I mean, this could quite well be enough.
Yeah, maybe central banks and digital assets will be then followed by, but we'll see.
Here, talking about systemic things, of course, we have regulations, we have legislation, also different in different countries. So how is it to lead sustainable change when we have legislation and differences in the legal structures and regulations? What do you say?
It definitely increases the complexity of things, and also making decisions, piloting innovations in our area, at least more local. So we used to work on a more global basis, on a European basis, and we see that it's transforming more into local presence at the moment because of that. And of course, it's a higher level of uncertainty. So this is also something that you need to handle with different scenarios, and you need also...
So it makes it a bit more difficult.
Yes.
And more challenging.
Complex, more complex, yeah.
What do you say, Anni?
Currently, there is so much regulation coming only from the EU region. So as we are headquartered in Finland, that is the kind of main regulation we are, from the corporate perspective, following from sustainability perspective. Obviously, for example, the reporting requirements are very heavy, and the coming supply chain regulations and so forth. So even managing that whole entity, following what's coming, acting on time, because we are too late if we just act when the regulation is on force. We need to kind of be very well networked in different industry associations and so forth to really understand what's coming. And then as we have operations in 50 countries, then there is the complexity of the other regions as well.
But should we say that fortunately there is an EU, because there is sort of a standard for many countries, and on top of that, EU is a great regulator internationally as well. So does EU, the existence of EU, make it easier anyway? Because it's in a way flattens the surface.
Partly, but then...
Standardizes.
Yeah, standardizes many things, and the EU regulation in many cases is much stricter than in other locations.
Otherwise, we would have a lot of different countries with a lot of different regulations and
But the complexities with the directives is that there then is the national legislation that can be quite surprisingly different in different nations within the EU as well.
Kaisa, what do you say?
I would like to also add that I'm happy that in the market there are these kind of legal compliance tool. So digitalization in this part can also help us to following and monitoring the very fast changing legislation.
Do you want to add values to this?
I think it's well
said.
Yes.
Hey, sort of, you're all being at the forefront of sustainable development and responsibility, and as we said, change is really fast at the moment. But if you sort of like rewind and see how we have progressed, how it looked, say, 10 years ago. So if we take a look into the future and say, what will it be after 10 years? So we're already now, you talked about reaching the tipping point and things have really changed. But let's take a 10-year perspective. Where will we be then, Anniina?
I think that we, in 10 years' time, probably we don't have separate sustainability strategies anymore, but because the kind of what I see currently,
Like you mean separate between companies? You all have
no separate sustainability strategy within the
yes.
company, because kind of what I see that more and more topics are coming to the sustainability agenda. So very soon there is everything that is relevant for the companies around the agenda. So
which new topics do you see coming into the agenda that is not considered generally sustainability thing at the moment? What do you see?
We can argue about the topics, but for example, cybersecurity.
Yeah, okay.
Probably traditionally hasn't been kind of under the sustainability umbrella. I see that being very relevant nowadays. More and more people topics coming.
Like even employee health things,
exactly.
Like fitness issues stuff, could that be sort of
and mental health being obviously kind of really important nowadays. The safety part has been there from the beginning, but different perspectives. Diversity and inclusion has driven very fast to the agenda, but it's also widening. So widening in scope, plus when we have moved from managing the own operations to managing the whole value chain from the both ends, downstream and upstream, I see that the partnerships between smaller companies and with big companies needs to happen, because we as a big companies need to require more from the smaller ones who don't have equally amount of expertise. And
so like Annika said, stronger partnerships. Yeah, that's the requirement.
Yes, like I think
10 years.
Like 10 years ago, we focused more like for environmental part in sustainability, and we were talking about like companies' direct emission to the soil, air, and water. But nowadays, I think sustainability have these three sectors: this environmental, social, and governance part. And I think after 10 years, this, as you said, this sustainability, social responsibility and also governance part will have a bigger role than today.
And I at least hope that 10 years from now we also talk more about what we have achieved. So what are the results out of the work? So I think at the moment we are still a bit more focused on actions we are doing and actions we are taking. 10 years from now we need to see also the good results out of that, and so.
I think my thinking is like we can't go back, but if I think back, how was it when I was a children? I think nothing was better than what is today. So I think after 10 years, it's going to be the same thing. So everything will be better than today. So I believe in a brighter future, but of course we have to work hard towards that. And I was like forecasting maybe 10 years ago that this term like Scandinavization will kind
of the world.
Of the world, will
that sounds
happen.
good.
But now we are seeing going a bit backwards. But
it's sort of a seesaw thing. Take the stock exchange index, for instance. You can see the big curve is constant rise, but of course it's a seesaw on seesaw micro level, so it goes sort of up and down. Or with climate change or whatever, I mean, you see a certain curve, even if different years are a bit different. So perhaps perhaps we see bumps in the road, but anyway, we are going in. If we're positive about the future, where you are and optimistic, so where we are seeing a better curve all the time.
That's what we have to believe in. But it's like I recommend everybody to read a book called Planetary Boundaries, because it's really an eye-opening thing, and it underlines that there is a lot of work to do during the next 10 years.
Hey, leading sustainable development in the coming years, if we're going in the direction you visioned the coming 10 years, so what will it be for you leading this work? More complex, more demanding, because you have more sustainability issues, new sustainability sort of items in a way? Is it so? Will it be more challenging? Or more interesting as well, of course?
I hope it's going to be equally challenging as it is now. We are living major transition period, so can it be even more challenging? I hope not, because I hope it's going to be streamlined a bit and it's going to be integrated even better to the business functions that it is today.
And if it's much more challenging, we do need the robots to help us and AI and stuff. We have to survive work life as well as human beings.
Yep,
Kaisa.
And I also think that it's more fact-based than it's today. It's more standardized, so it's much more easy to also lead.
Hey, the question is sort of in order to get the whole organization involved, and of course it requires a lot of communication, perhaps like a bit of motivational speak as well. So how have you managed to motivate the staff, the people in your company? Is it difficult? How do you do it? Is it challenging? Does everyone understand it nowadays already?
I think it's not that difficult. So generally, it is a topic what interests people, and it's coming more and more close to people in a way. So
it's not frustrating work to try to get the staff on side.
Of course, sometimes, and but in general, compared to other transitions, I think sustainability topics are well received, and people are interested. They want to participate. So that is at least my experience.
I echo what you said. And the younger the generation, the more interested they are, and really choosing their workplace based on their own values. And they're the companies who are really pushing for sustainable development are the winners in talent attraction. What, for example, we did actually yesterday, we hosted with one of the business area a webcast where I was co-piloting with our business head, and we explained what are the climate-related risks and opportunities for that business area, and launched an innovation competition for our employees. So kind of you need to really talk with the top management to really show the engagement to get everybody on board.
But it's still a generational thing. So the younger the generation, the easier it is for them to think sustainable.
Maybe because
or is it changing? Is it changing? So like, the 40-somethings and 50-somethings, are they sort of coming along as well more than before?
I would say yes, but maybe they need even more facts to convince them, because when the life was different when we grew up, when the young generation and the old one was growing up, so we need to convince them maybe even more, even though the young generation really needs facts as well, not saying that, but...
Yeah, but even in a way, from a communications point of view, we know that it's difficult to sell with facts only. So you don't reach hearts by selling only facts. So, but perhaps we need good stories as well and good examples. And
that's true, but depending on your audience, I work in a company that is full of engineers who really needs to have the facts.
Yeah, but I've heard that they are human beings as well.
That's good.
So that's very positive. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, fully agree. But our kind of piece in the puzzle is that our brand promise is return on innovation, and I think it has many points. What you said, kind of combining, like we need the facts, we need to have the visibility, we need to measure in order to start learn and really put it on the table for the top management. And I think it is now on the table of the top management. We just need to give more kind of accountability. And I think, by the way...
And how do you measure? Sorry, how do you measure? That was my next question, actually. You can take it at the same time. So how do you measure accountability? Anniina already said about how, in a few words at least, how it really is done. But how easy is it?
It's a very important question, because it's like said before, consultants normally say that a few companies have a strategy. Very few companies measure the impact of their innovation investments. But I would say that because I only see what our customers are doing. Again, customer-led innovation for us is that they used to invest a lot in digitalization. And I think that the saying was that 50% was having no impact on the business or no add value, but you don't know which part. But now I think with sustainability, I think sustainability innovation investments are much better profitability than digitalization related. Of course, they overlap, but I think their ROI is much higher. But very few companies measure it, and that's what we are trying to help our customers to measure, to show that these are good investments and these are not that good investments for the company.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, and at least what we see when it comes to investment into R&D and in innovation, so we can also see it from our innovation pipeline, how that has changed the last years. So the majority at the moment is sustainability related topics. The same goes for also investments into hardware, what we are doing, and these are things, of course, that we are following up and trying at least to understand.
Hey, a couple of minutes ago, should everything be more transparent? Because there's a lot of talk about more and more transparency all the time. Does sustainability work need things to be more transparent than nowadays?
Definitely yes, and we need to have. We already have really good metrics that are standardized. For example, how to calculate emissions. We need even more standardized methods of measuring, for example, the social impact and the social responsibility topics. Unless we are transparent and are comparable between different companies for our customers, it's kind of you ask that are we in the same level? So the customer needs to be able to really decide that, and for that we need more transparency between companies.
And the role of information management?
It's big. It's big because we can't work in the silos to generate the impact.
And it's also the basis for measuring and understanding and being able to compare. So I also fully agree with you that we need to get more transparent, and it needs to be also data available in a better way than what we have today.
And Veijo and Kaisa, your parting words as well. We have half a minute to go.
Okay, I tend to say quite often that I'm a transparent person, and I think the change starts from all of ourselves.
Well, that's a good way to say it, all.
And I also think that nowadays the companies just have to be transparent with their sustainability work.
Hey, I promised it would be a thought-provoking panel, and it was. I'm happy. Thank you very much. Great to have you all here and share your wisdoms with us. Hey, dear speakers, dear attendees, thank you for an inspiring morning from Helsinki, which is turning sunny within 2 hours, they promised. So let's see how it goes. That's something for an optimistic future, positive outlook on the future. It's turning sunny. I truly think there should be more, peer-to-peer discussions like this, guiding and reflecting on common concerns across industries, countries, and ecosystems. So, see you soon. Keep safe. Over and out from Helsinki, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you all for attending.